Hi there. Welcome to the Advanced Strategic Management course of third semester MBA. I am Professor Ahamed Riaz and I'll be a faculty for this semester teaching you Advanced Strategic Management. This is one of the most important courses that you have to learn in your MBA program. In today's session, we'll have a look at what are the strategies used in corporate level. We have learned that there are three levels of strategies: corporate strategies, business strategies, and functional strategies. Today we're going to have a look at what are the major types of corporate strategies. Usually we have three categories of corporate strategies. The first category is known as growth strategies. The second one, stability strategies, and the third one, retrenchment strategies. Now, what do you mean by growth strategies? When the corporate decides to grow the business, they go for a growth strategy. They go for aggressive growth strategies. When the market situation is favorable and the business is going well, the corporate level strategy will be always a growth strategy. Now, what are the two different types of growth strategies? Now, in growth strategy, we follow two different types of strategies. The first one is known as concentration strategy. What do you mean by concentration? The company decides to concentrate on the same industry. They decide to remain and concentrate in the same industry. For example, you can take the example of Maruti in India. Maruti is concentrating on automobile industry. All their concentration, all their business is related to automobile industry. So automobile industry is the concentration of that particular company. In this case, we call the strategy, the growth strategy, as concentration strategy. Okay, in concentration, so how do we do concentration strategy? There are two techniques usually used in concentration strategy. The company either goes for a vertical integration or a horizontal integration. So these are two integrations in concentration strategy: the vertical integration or a horizontal integration. Now, what do you mean by vertical integration? The vertical integration can be a forward integration or a backward integration. The company will vertically expand in the supply chain. Now, how do we go for a forward integration in the supply chain? For example, Maruti is a company which produces cars. If they decide to go for selling of cars or distribution of cars, which usually the dealers do, then that is a forward integration. If Maruti decides to go for starting a car loan business, a Maruti car loans, that is again a forward integration. A lot of car companies like Ashok Leyland or Toyota, many of the companies have started car finance. So car finance is a forward integration of car companies. Now, so that is going ahead in the supply chain. And if it is going behind or backward in the supply chain, that is backward integration. For example, Maruti decides to produce tires instead of buying it from Bridgestone or MRF. Then that is a backward integration. In backward integration, they cut the suppliers and they produce their own components instead of getting it from the suppliers. So that's a backward integration, going back in the supply chain. So that is also a kind of concentration, remaining in the same industry and expanding and growing your business. So that is concentration. Either you go for vertical integration. In vertical integration, you go for forward integration or backward integration. Next is horizontal integration in the same industry. How do you integrate horizontally in the same industry? The first one is geographical integration, geographically expanding. For example, if Maruti decides to export cars to African continent, to Australia, to New Zealand or Middle East, that is expanding the geographical location, the operation of geography. So in that case, that is a horizontal integration. Horizontal integration can also be done by increasing the product ranges, going to different markets, going to different customers. For example, Maruti themselves producing different types of automobiles. Now, recently Maruti has come up with two categories of cars. They have premium cars sold through Nexa, and they have economy cars sold through Arena category of retailers. So that is expanding their customer base, both premium and economy customer base. That is also horizontal integration. It can be geographically or also customer base. So that is the integration part, vertical integration, horizontal integration. These are all concentrating in the same industry. Now let's have a look at the second category of growth strategy, that is diversification. In diversification, the companies go for expanding to unrelated industries, from one industry to a different industry. For example, a company in FMCG industry may go to an IT industry, or they can go to a banking industry, they can go to an entirely new industry. That is conglomeration or conglomerate diversification. Okay, diversifying into unrelated industry. So diversification can be conglomerate diversification, diversifying to unrelated business, or concentric diversification. That is diversifying to related industries. I'll give you examples of both these. Concentric diversification. The best example is, you must have seen a lot of companies, electronic companies. They go to the related electronic industry. For example, mobile companies like MI, OnePlus, etc. They have recently diversified into related business of Android TVs. MI has launched Android TV. OnePlus has launched Android TV. So that is related diversification. That is known as concentric diversification. And what about conglomerate diversification? That is unrelated industry. The best example will be ITC in India. ITC, the Indian Tobacco Company. It's basically a tobacco company. Their brands were Goldflake, Wills, Scissors, kind of brands, which was mainly cigarette brands. They decided to diversify to unrelated industries. They directly jumped to the food industry. They jumped to the Ashirwad was a brand, which is food industry. Then they went to FMCG industry, Sunfeast, food and FMCG. Then they decided to go to a completely unrelated industry, that is education and books, notebooks, that is Classmates, the brand Classmates. After they went to the apparel industry, Will's Lifestyle. So ITC has been expanding into unrelated industries, and finally ITC is now a conglomerate. So that is conglomerate diversification. I think the most common example in India is Tata's. Tata was a steel company, started as a steel company. They diversified to everything else, to IT as TCS, to Tata Tea, Tata Coffee. You have a lot of different companies of Tata that Tata Automobiles. So Tata is also an example of conglomerate diversification. Okay, now after growth strategy, what is the second type of strategy followed by companies? Now let's have a look at what is the second category of strategies. Instead of growth, sometimes a company decides to go for a stability strategy. They decide that the company, now the market situation is not good enough, or the company is not performing well, to go for a growth strategy. So instead of a growth strategy, company decides to go for a stability strategy. Now what are the two types of stability strategies? The first stability strategy is pause and proceed with caution. Stop and proceed with caution and care. That's the first kind of stability strategy. The company will stop a little bit. It will pause. It will not go for expansions. Okay, it will not change its strategy. It will not form any new strategy. It will be very cautious. And what is second? The second category in stability strategy is no change or no profit strategy. This is usually when there is a threat from outside, when there are some aggressive new competitors. The company decides to go for a no change, no profit strategy. They'll not go for aggressive marketing. They'll not go for aggressive sales. They'll go for a no change, no profit strategy. So these are two strategies, that is pause and proceed with caution and no change or profit strategy. These are two strategies when the company decides to go for a stability strategy instead of a growth strategy. Now let's have a look at what is the third category of strategy. The third category is retrenchment strategy. The corporate strategy is retrenchment strategy when the situations are very bad. If the market is very bad and the company's performance is very poor, if they see that the business is going to docks, instead of incurring loss, the company decides to go for a retrenchment strategy. What are the retrenchment strategies? There are three types of retrenchment strategies. The first one is known as turnaround strategy. Turn around, turn the business around, bring the business back to profit. In this, there are two different types. Either the company will go for a contraction of business, they will contract the business, they go for contraction, or they go for consolidation of business. They consolidate the business instead of going for growth. They consolidate whatever they have and bring back the company to profits. They reduce the loss and bring it back to profit. So that is turnaround strategy. If they find that turnaround is not possible, then the next strategy is captive company strategy. What is captive company? They wave the white flag and they say that we are no more for competition. They surrender in front of the competition. They tell the competitors that we have surrendered and you can take us. You can take over us. That is a captive company strategy. Sometimes they also go for sellout. They sell out their shares. Sell out the shares of the company either to the competitor or some other players. So that is captive company strategy. Now even that is not possible. Sometimes there is no takers. There is no buyer for your company. Then what will you do? The final strategy is bankruptcy strategy. You declare yourself as bankrupt. Either you go for liquidation, you sell it off. You sell it off in loss. You liquidate your properties. Or else the final thing is you declare your company as bankrupt or as a pauper. That is also called as pauper or a bankrupt company. So you say that, or you declare yourself in the court of law or to the government that you're bankrupt. So that is the final strategy if nothing works. So once again, let me consolidate what I told you. There are three types of corporate strategy. Number one is growth strategy. Number two is stability strategy. And number three is retrenchment strategy. Okay, if things are good, you go for a growth strategy. And if things are not that good, you go for a stability strategy. And if things are really bad, you go for a retrenchment strategy. So remember, in growth, you have either concentration or diversification. Okay, and in stability, you have pause and proceed or no change or no profit strategy. And in retrenchment, you have turnaround strategy, captive company strategy, and bankruptcy strategy. I think it is clear to you. So next time when you see a corporate going for a strategy, try to find out which strategy they have implemented or they have taken. You must have seen a lot of companies, a lot of corporates going for either growth strategy or stability strategy. Even some companies in India have gone for turnaround strategies. So I think it's clear to you about the major corporate strategies, and I'll be back with more on strategic management. Thanks a lot.